Now the ultimate question is, what will the fourth stage be? The only answer to that is time will tell. Director, and then there's the set designer, so more like a play. And then it just happens to be that all the actors happen to be acrobats, and that every scene is a different...
This topic is very relevant. We see it in the news a lot, but we actually don't know much about it.
So now we're going to look at the history of the traditional circus. It all started with a man named Bob.
Black men are hit the hardest of the two sexes due to the criminal stereotype.
On one very regular day, 3 Viking boats appear on the horizon with white sails, carrying 25 to 60 warriors each. These boats landed on the shore that the people had to leave Scandinavia. And if that was the case, it would have worked perfectly with the idea that population increase.
The factor was the financial gain and the hope to fuel positive economic change. At this point in time, there was a new legacy to achieve. One not just based upon prestige and sharing culture, but one dominated by economic and financial power.
Okay. I'm cutting in line.
Oh, good. Better than rehearsal. Oh, good.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
That was amazing. Gosh, my mind was like, damn. That was so good.
That was like the tightest thing I've ever seen. Oh my god. What do you guys like? We should try it sometime. It was so well. So good. I keep looking at the chat. I'm like, Golly's rocking it. Oh my god, that was so good. Congrats. It's all over.
Congrats, Hannah. It was wonderful. I was like in tears at the end. Oh my gosh, it's so powerful and so beautiful. There you go. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you. Thank you. Great.
Hey, you dropped
God, you smell so good. Okay, so I stopped breathing as soon as you went up.
You're like my mom. She always said that. I did. I had to tell her to breathe. I learned a new drop, and she's like, "Don't show me." Congratulations.
It was gorgeous. Oh my
God. I've never seen Miss Molly breathless before. Completely. It's really funny, Mr. Mulligan.
And for the circus generally. So it's a wonderful combination of her personal interests, really her personal passion, and an intellectual exercise in which she was.
Right, you're cutting out the middle bit and 12
I know, right? That's why I wear it.
Okay, thank you so much. So my name is Maria Morales-Kent.
Next year, this is going to be you. You're going to be flipping out. Yeah, that's true. Let's go back to 0. And let's turn the volume off.
all you worked so hard over the years.
And ruthlessly took everything they wanted without leaving anybody alive afterwards. The Viking Age was a period of time when the Vikings expanded outside of their homeland in Scandinavia. But once I started my research, I started to realize that a lot of these things that we took as facts couldn't be interpreted as such because of the biased nature they were written. We've actually never found a horned Viking helmet. This is one of the few Viking helmets ever discovered. This starts to set the idea for, why are they painted in such a strong image without ever having any archaeological evidence to support it. In my senior X, what I want to do is take the perspective of the Scandinavians and why did they leave Scandinavia. This is a very beautiful land with abundant space and resources to support the population at the time. So why did the Scandinavians start the diaspora, or the expansion out of Scandinavia, and start conquering the rest of the world? In Scandinavia increased about 1 degree Celsius, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it had a huge rippling effect through Scandinavian culture. This is the Scandinavian expansion, fueling such an increase in population. He says, "We are left with a sobering conclusion, which is that the Vikings created one of the few known world mythologies to include the preordained and permanent ruin of all creation and all the powers that shaped it, with no lasting afterlife for anyone at all. The cosmos began with the frozen emptiness of Ginniguga and will end in the fire with the last battle. Everything will burn at Ragnarok, whatever gods and humans may do. The outcome of our actions and our fate is already decided and therefore does not matter. What is important is the manner of our conduct as we go to meet it. The psychological impacts of this and the other aspects of Norse religion bear thinking about. A people that weren't scared to go out and create their own riches and create their own, homeland. They went into battle not only with, ambition and the goal of glory and adventure, but
Helsinki, 1952. Soviet Union and Israel enter the games. There were around 5,000 athletes. Los Angeles ultimately created a model and orchestrated both the successful games and positive development which revitalized their urban cores. So I think once they win the bid and during the bidding process, I think the focus is on the economic gains and the financials. And so it's only really during the games where it's about the athletes, and afterwards and before, it's sadly only about money and economics.
Is it a privacy violation? A matter of security? That is really the central question that Anna is going to explore with you in his presentation. No matter where you fall on that continuum, privacy, security, I think your mind may shift a bit, more than once, during the course of this presentation. I'd like everyone to give a great welcome to Anand Shah.
All that information is stored in supercomputers like this. Imagine an IKEA store filled from top to bottom with hard drives. And that's filled with all of your information. Now imagine 5 IKEA stores. That's one NSA storage facility.
But the past few days specifically were mostly full of excitement. As I was writing my script and getting my presentation ready, I just got really, really excited about my topic and really ready to present. I love my topic, so I was ecstatic to be able to get to share what I've learned and my knowledge with the rest of the community. A lot of my very good friends were there, my parents, my grandparents, a lot of teachers were there, and some parents of some of my friends were there. It was a really good mix of people, which is really cool because people that I didn't really expect to be interested in it came to it and were asked questions and were very engaged. So it was really fun to be able to share it with lots of different kinds of people.
Yeah, go for it. Yell them out.
Crazy.
Crazy. There we go. Elephants. Lots of elephants. Fun. Crazy. Colorful. Good. We have lots of ideas out there. I like that. That way. And anybody in the middle? Anybody this way?
In between the middle and the left.
There we go. We got lots of answers. Personally, I have a different viewpoint of circus. When I think of circus, I think of beautiful, elegant, enhancing, and a transformation of mind, body, and imagination. So as you can see, there's a lyra, which is a metal hoop that's hung from the ceiling that you can dance in, up, and around. We have a silk or a tissue, which is one big piece of cloth that is knotted around a metal piece called a figure 8 and hung from the ceiling, so there's 2 sides to it. The tissue or the silk, but it's in a circle or it's hung at 2 points to create a loop, as you see here. Known as new circus. Even if it's considered traditional circus, hungry at a circus institution for a year. René Duper was the gained inspiration from Quebec's countryside and the music culture. The very beginnings of Cirque du Soleil. Now you might be wondering, how these 5 very different men all had the same passion. Their passion was to create Quebec's first ever homegrown circus, and to provide themselves and their friends with a means to travel, have fun, and make audiences happy. Many people get a thrill from viewing and visiting the circus, an experience that is unexpected and unpredictable. They never know exactly what they're going to get. These institutions professionally train upcoming artists, and that creates a more competitive job market for current circus performers. Time stopped and my imagination soared. I had stepped into the world of the modern circus, or Cirque. Percentage of people in the US deeply care about the importance of arts education in schools. Yes, Ms. Woolley?
Did you learn anything yet?
Going, and so everything in the US turned that way, and everything outside just stayed how it was with the refined art and beauty that it had always been. Teach after they are not even physically able. It's easier when they're dwindling in their career, they can pass their knowledge along.
You've got a warm heart, you've got a beautiful brain, but it's disintegrating from all the metal.
So, why is this? Why do we think this when we think foodie? Well, a huge tenet of foodieism is gluttony. Here is David Che.
How has the NSA collected all this information? They have tapped these underwater fiber optic cables. 550,000 miles of cables ring the whole world. They carry all the world's communication data. All your emails, Facebook posts, phone calls go through these lines. And the NSA has access to that. 4 main methods of detecting suspicious activity: technology detection, language tracking, entity extraction, and monitor internet activity. Technology detection. An analyst, for example, can say, show me all the users that have set up a private network in country X. Terrorism is actually a real threat, and the fact that Peace Corps has found 300 terrorists is pretty surprising. It's surprising because the NSA didn't, in fact, reveal that figure. It was leaked by Snowden.
The rest of his career. So after 1970, when they broke up, he went solo, and I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about. Paul Simon had a very wide range. He could sing. The 1923 Urban Areas Act, which legislated urban racial segregation in towns and cities and discouraged blacks from becoming town-rooted.
In the media, there are many stereotypes of minorities, and for those who have not had as diverse an experience as we have, stereotypes might be their reality. However, at some point, these stereotypes can become a matter of life or death. So, the next prominent stereotype regarding African American women is that of the welfare mother. The welfare mother is, quote, lazy, collects government assistance, and ensures poverty. So, because blacks are often portrayed in menial and stereotypical manners, black children may get the impression they do not matter in modern day society, and they should not aspire to professional and leadership positions. This study proves that comedy oftentimes has subconscious racial implications on our minds, and should therefore be viewed with some amount of criticism.
And logical progression, and we're a product of the environment and what forced them out and then what drew them out. Thank you very much.
So
So, are there any questions?
A friend of mine who visited Beijing.
The point of all these programs is to protect our civil liberties. Obama said, quote, "Those who don't approve of the NSA also don't want another 9/11. And those who defend the NSA are not dismissive of civil liberties." Security cameras on every single street. So
just wondering.
Data is just sent to the NSA.
Rivers. The Vikings essentially went up every river started. When they no longer had the funds to sponsor these huge bound to any political person because of political consolidation of the environment and what forced them out and then what drew them out. Thank you very much. It wasn't a culture dominated by men, and they had a large.
The anonymous man who did not want to come.
Because of this interview, Sherman was portrayed as a thug. The man is, quote, an obese, independent, overweight.
In 1884, they created their own traveling circus. In the United States, or any other small circus, they monopolized the circus business. Barnum and Bailey Circus, which is what we know it as today.
Pony that starred Paul Simon, so he was in this movie. Simon erased all of Art Garfunkel's vocal tracks from the album and released it as a solo in 19.
So we're kind of on the ground floor here of hearing about Bitcoin, and we're looking forward to it. So without further ado, Al Jakes.
Great presentation, by the way. I'm just curious if you have, after doing this research or during the research, had any personal experience with Bitcoins. Did you purchase any? Have you used them?
I actually, funny story, I nagged my parents a lot to try and buy a Bitcoin, and not even a.
Now, if you'll turn up to my screen, you'll see a scale that I have created from freak show to symphony. This is a scale
Mr. Berrigan gave me a lot of helpful tips, pointed me in a lot of right directions, gave me ideas on what to research, what to look for, especially. And there were times, when he had read an article I hadn't, and he'd forward it to me. And then during the presentation phase, he was open to rehearsing anytime. There were some odd times at like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and Mr. Berrigan was always available, so I really appreciated that.
And the question you start with isn't the question you end with, and that research is about hitting some dead ends and then coming across these new and wonderful topics of exploration. In the fall, we really helped the students focus a lot on how to brainstorm and how to come up with a viable topic, a topic that actually can be researched. And then in the winter, the emphasis was on the actual research, and students went to a university library. Each student met with our librarian, Jen Finley, and then they took time in their English classes to really dig deep into these topics and to conduct some significant research. In the spring, we have focused on the presentation aspect of this project, and the students worked with Stand and Deliver, which is a firm that works with CEOs and academics on public speaking and also how to put together effective presentations. And then the students received guidance and a lot of support from their project advisors, who have been instrumental in helping the students really fine-tune their presentations and get ready for the Senior X weekend.
This year our goal was to try to connect the students' passion for the topic to research, and also to ignite that motivation so that they could see research as fun and interesting, and it would be something that would sustain them through the whole year. Realizing that is a process that can be enjoyable, and it's something that you can do after high school as well and into college, having this ability to make connections. We implemented this year the the requirement that each student had to meet with the library director. So each of the 62 seniors had an individual orientation to research databases with the library director, which I think was time well spent for them to see that they don't have to buy a book on Amazon, to see that they don't always have to reference a book, that it can be an article, it can be a blog post, it can be a newspaper, their ideas can be formed from multiple sources. And so I think that was a useful skill that I hope that the students can take into college. So as we all know, public speaking is terrifying. And even in the short intros that I do for my own advisees, I get butterflies as well. So the Stand and Deliver consultant that came to help the students worked with them in a way that made them feel comfortable and made them feel like they were having a conversation with their audience rather than that they were standing up there presenting. And they also have this concept of the student is sharing information with everybody, and they try to help students think about sharing their knowledge, being generous with us in explaining it thoroughly, taking their time. And also the concept of concluding your presentation on a strong note is something that I think resonated with all the students this year. So their concept is what they call a dessert, and you want to give the audience a dessert at the end of your presentation. And what I saw in the desserts were concise, complex arguments of how the student made their topic relevant to, or how, and also how to make their topic relevant, and how to help the audience see that what they were talking about mattered. And I'm very proud that they accomplished what we set out for them to do, and they looked like they were having fun once they got over that initial nervousness. I think they realized that, I could see in each of them that they realized that they could do this and they could do it well, and it's definitely something that they can take with them as they go to college and then whatever happens beyond. That's what's nice to see with Mahogany and Cami, to see that Mahogany's so poised and she's going off to an amazing school, my alma mater, and even in her presentation, she said, this is what I want to do at college. I want to look at the causation of stereotypes in media and not have a correlational study. And to see that modeled for Cami is very powerful. And just to see their relationship, just even in them talking together, I think that's going to last longer than any process that's put in place or any 30-minute session you get with a presentation coach. I think that relationship validated the whole experience.
You actually started with, this is what I discovered, and I'm giving you an analysis of that.
As freshwater resources are becoming scarce, physical, cultural, and political tensions are rising all over the world. These tensions are resulting in water conflicts, or quote-unquote water wars.
That was awesome.
Sean, I didn't know the government was after you. So good.
Group projects.
Killed it, buddy. It died like 3 minutes in.
But then I recorded it on my phone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What do you think the NSA thinks of your talk?
I don't know. They recorded it.
They've recorded it, right?
Probably.
No, I mean, they know everywhere you've gone on the internet, right?
Yeah, they do. That was awesome, man.
I'm going to Colorado College next year, and I think the senior exhibition really allowed me to be better at research projects and long-term projects, because I didn't get exposed to that quite as much, or at least like really long-term projects like throughout the school year. And so I think that'll help me plan out and manage my time, be able to do that and make sure I make all the checkpoints for projects, and I think it'll help my efficiency and my productivity in college.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you for this.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Congrats, give it back to your dad.
I'm so glad this is over. Thanks, man. Good job. No, man.
You're done.
I made it. We're here. Thank you.
No dicks.
Good job, dude. Thanks, man. Paul Choi, long time no see. Thanks for coming up, man. Andrew. Good job. Thanks, man.
Congrats.
Thank you so much.
You did a great job.
Yeah.